Hello my lovely students of 4th primary, how are you? In the home economics class, في class بتاع الاقتصاد المنزلي, the teacher prepared apples for the students. If you took one apple and 1/4, and your friend took 2/4 and another friend took one apple and 3/4, will you be able to figure out how many apples you and your friends took? هتعرف تقول لي كام apple you and your friends took? Today in lesson 5 of unit 9, pieces from the whole, we will learn how we can add and subtract fractions and whole numbers. We will learn this by more than one method. هنتعلم ده بأكتر من طريقة. زي represent. It is considered one of the mathematicians' characteristics, which is being able to model the mathematical problem in order to ليه بنعمل represent؟ عشان to simplify the idea، عشان نبسط الidea بتاعتنا وكمان نسهل السوليوشن بتاعنا. In order not to forget this characteristic, we will add it to the chart of the mathematician's characteristics. Let's put it. And here's the represent. Okay. And now after we know that represent is one of the mathematician's characteristics, let's move to the axis part on page 15. Let's see it. And now here on page 15, as you see here, we have a story problem. We need to think about. It's about Jana, who thinks that 4/4, she thinks that 4/4 of a loaf of bread is the same as one whole loaf. Do you agree with her or disagree? I will give you now some time to apply what we have learned in the last lessons and think about what Jana said. You can explain your thinking by using words or pictures or numbers. And after we have finished, let's see the solutions you thought of this problem. We could text Jana's thought in a practical way. By drawing a circle representing the loaf of bread and dividing it into 4 equal parts. تعالوا نرسم كده circle وهقسم الcircle دي into 4 equal parts. You know this from the denominator of the fraction. اللي هو denominator بتاعي كان 4, and that's why I divided it into 4 equal parts. And now let's count the parts and shaded them. So we have how many parts? Here is 1/4, and here is 2/4, here is 3/4, and here is 4/4, right? Right. So how many parts do I have? Yes, I have 4 parts. طب وده معناه ايه؟ ده معناه ان right the full 4 parts equals to whole 1. So Jana is right when she said that 4/4 equals to the whole 1 or the whole loaf of bread. I am sure a lot of you are saying that we learned this in the last lessons when we said that in the 1 whole equals a fraction with equal numerator and denominator. إن ال 1 whole لازم الفراكشن بتاعه تكون النومينيتور زي بالظبط الدينومينيتور. زي for example 4/4 أو 5/5 or 6/6. كل الفراكشنز دي represent 1 whole. And now let's use our knowledge and continue with what we have learned before about composing fractions and learn how to add fractions in build on page 15 in the same page. In the activity which is called add them up. In the first problem, as you see here, this is the first problem. We want to rewrite the problem. عايزة أكتب البروبلم using fractions and whole numbers and then solve it. Note that there are many ways, في طرق كتيرة قوي to solve this problem. Not only one way. As you can see, we have 5 models. عندنا here 5 models. Each one divided into 3 parts. كل model فيهم divided into 3 parts. طيب عندي 3 of them have all parts shaded. ال 3 دول كل ال parts are shaded, which represent 3/3, right? طيب and that equals to 1 whole. احنا اتفقنا ان 3/3 equals to 1 whole. وفي 2 remaining models اللي هم ال 2 models دول each represent 2 over 3, right? Okay, now يبقى I have 3 whole models and 2, each one represent 2 over 3 يعني 2/3. Why? Because only 2 parts of them are shaded. هنا 2 parts shaded يبقى الفراكشن بتاعي 2 over 3. طيب when I was solving this problem in my class, one of the students asked this question. سألني السؤال ده. What is the number that will represent this model? طيب في students جاوبوا إن we can take part of the 5th one or the 5th model and I added to the 4th model. يعني إيه الكلام ده؟ يعني في حد قال لي ممكن يا ميس آخد part من هنا وأحطه في الموديل ده عشان أكمل ده يبقى 1 whole ويبقى عندي هنا only 1/3. Right? طيب and what's left in that model we took from its 1/3. يبقى الموديل ده هيبقى فيه 1/3 only. Then we could add all the shaded and completed models. طب أنا عندي كده how many complete أو whole models؟ تعالوا كده نعد مع بعض. 1 2 3 4. ليه ده 4؟ عشان أخدت 1 from here وحطيته هنا يبقى أنا عندي 4 whole models and this one هيبقى فيه بس 1/3. يبقى the answer is 4 and 1/3. So modeling this problem will help us understand and solve it. طيب but how about solving it by adding numbers and fractions؟ لو عايزة أحلها بقى بطريقة تانية بطريقة ال adding numbers and fractions هنعمل إيه؟ I will add the models that represent the whole numbers. طب أنا عندي كام model represent the whole numbers؟ 1 2 3 1 plus 1 plus 1 يعني 3 whole numbers, right? Then I will add the 2 fractions. This one 2 represent 2 over 3 and this one represent also 2 over 3. يبقى أنا عندي 3 whole numbers and 2 over 3 plus 2 over 3 equals 4 over 3, right? I am sure, yes, يبقى 3 and 4 over 3. So, what should I do? ينفع أسيب ال 4 over 3 like improper fraction? No, ال improper fraction دي هعمل لها decomposing, right? طيب decomposing يعني هتبقى إيه؟ ال 4 over 3 هتبقى 3 over 3 plus 1 over 3, right? طيب كلنا عارفين إن 3 over 3 يعني whole 1. I will add it with the 3. يعني 3 plus whole 1 gives me 4 whole numbers and the fraction which is 1 over 3. And as you see, the two, they are equal in the answer, right? طيب يبقى this is the same answer as the one we have used models. يبقى احنا كده حليناها ب 2 ways مختلفين. مرة by using the models ومرة by adding the whole numbers and the fractions. That being so, we have learned 2 solutions models, adding using the models like this or using addition equations directly like this one. And now let's continue answering the rest of the problems on page 15. Here in problem number 2, as you see here, we want to add 2 plus 2 plus 3 over 5 plus 3 over 5. طيب أول حاجة هعملها إيه؟ I will add the whole numbers. مين ال whole numbers عندي؟ 2 plus 2. طب 2 plus 2 gives me what? Of course, gives me 4. Then what should I do? I will add the fractions اللي هي 3 over 5 plus 3 over 5. اتفقنا في الاديشن I add only the numerator and keep the denominator as it is. So 3 over 5 plus 3 over 5 gives me what? Gives me 6 over 5, right? طيب the answer is 4 and 6 over 5. Don't forget to check if the fraction is proper ولا improper one. We will find that it is improper. طب عرفت ازاي improper؟ عشان النومينيتور أكبر من الدينومينيتور، right? So لازم نحول improper fraction ده لmixed number as we have learned before. طيب الدينومينيتور equals 5 يبقى هعمل decomposing ل 6 over 5 ازاي؟ Yes, excellent. هعمل decomposing ل 6 over 5 هتبقى 5 over 5 plus 1 over 5, right? طيب وكلنا عارفين ان 5 over 5 يعني whole 1. So I will add the whole 1 to the 4. يبقى الانسر بتاعي 5 whole and 1 over 5. Now let's look at problem number 3. تعالوا نشوف بقى problem number 3 هحلها ازاي. He want me to add 3 over 5 plus 2 over 5. I will keep the 5 as it is and I will only add the numerator, right? طيب هي 3 plus 2 equals what? Yes, 3 plus 2 equals 5. And I will keep the denominator as it is 5. So, who can tell me 5 over 5 equals what? Same numerator and denominator يبقى على طول equals to whole 1. يبقى 5 over 5 equals to 1 and this is my answer. And now I'll give you some time to answer problem number 4. When we get back, we will review the answers. And now after you have finished, I am sure you have applied. أنا متأكدة إن أنتوا طبقتوا كل اللي إحنا اتعلمناه in our problem. Let's see. Here in problem number 4, we want to add 4 plus 4 over 8 plus 2 plus 5 over 8 like you see here. طيب first we will add what? طيب المرة دي I will add the fractions first. هي 4 over 8 plus 5 over 8 equals what? Yes, of course. 4 plus 5 gives me 9 over the same denominator which is 8. And what about the whole numbers? Yes, I will add the whole numbers. يبقى 4 plus 2 gives me 6. يبقى الانسر بتاعي 9 over 8 plus 6, right? طيب should I keep it as it is? No. Here is improper fraction. يبقى لازم أخلي الامproper fraction ده mixed number زي ما كل مرة بنعمل. طيب يبقى 9 over 8 فيها إيه؟ فيها whole number اللي هو 8 over 8 plus 1 over 8. 8 over 8 whole number, so I will add it to the 6. يبقى الانسر بتاعي 7 whole numbers and 1 over 8, and this is the mixed number. Okay, and now let's move to problem number 5 and 6. Problem number 5 and 6, you will solve it in the same way. After learning and practicing many ways to add fractions, let's learn how to subtract fractions in the activity. Break them down on page 16 in the same page. In this activity, we will model the problem like we did in the start or at the start of the lesson. This time, we will help Adam. هنساعد Adam to figure out how much left from the loaf of bread which he used. استخدم من البريد 3 over 4. To make sandwiches for himself and his family. طيب the model is in front of us. أهو الموديل اللي أنا بتكلم عنه. It shows the bread that Adam used that he divided into 4 equal parts. الموديل هنا متقسم ل 4 equal parts. Like we did in the access part with our friend Jana. فاكرين؟ We agreed with her that اللوف is divided into 4 fourths equals to 1 whole loaf. طيب آدم دلوقتي استخدم 3 parts out of 4 يعني 3 fourths. So I will mark off how many parts أو I will cross how many parts. هو استخدم 3 parts يبقى I will cross 3 parts out of 4. يبقى how many part left? Yes, 1/4 quarter only left. So by using the model we will be able to figure out the remaining part of the loaf is 1/4. Alright, but if you want to represent it by using equation, لو عايزة أشوف الانسر ده أو أحل الانسر by using equation to solve the subtraction like in problem number 2, هعمل إيه؟ We had 1 loaf of bread. إحنا اتفقنا إن إحنا عندنا loaf of bread and we took from it 3/4. As a result, the equation will be إيه؟ هعمل 1 loaf minus 3 over 4, right? طيب to be able to solve it لازم أحول أو أخلي ال1 ده fraction, right? طيب الفراكشن بتاعي هيبقى إيه؟ عشان عندي الدينومينيتور هنا 4 يبقى الفراكشن بتاع ال1 اتفقنا إن ال1 هول الفراكشن بتاعه النوميريتور زي بالظبط الدينومينيتور، يعني بدل ما أكتب 1 هول ممكن أكتبها 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4. أوكي، when I subtract طب ليه كتبت 4 over 4 ما كتبتش for example 5 or 6؟ Yes, because we need to take 3 over 4 of the whole one. That's why I write the fraction 4 over 4. Now, 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4 equals what? Of course, I will keep the denominator as it is and I'll subtract only the numerator. يبقى 4 minus 3 equals to 1 over 4. And this is the part which is left from the loop. In problem number 3, here we are asked to use models. مطلوب مننا في problem number 3 نستخدم المودلز اللي مرسومة. We want to subtract 1 over 3 from 2. عايز أعمل 2 minus 1 over 4 by using the model of the problem. Here we have to find, we will have 2 complete models. زي ما احنا شايفين كده احنا عندنا 2 complete models. مش احنا عندنا whole 2, عندنا 2 complete models. I am sure you are noticing, أنا متأكدة إن أنتم ملاحظين دلوقتي إن each model divided into 4 equal parts because here I have 4 in the denominator. طيب to subtract 1/4 from 2 هعمل إيه؟ I will take off 1 part أو cross 1 part. Okay? So we will have 1 complete model اللي هو 1 whole and the other one what is left? 3 parts or 3 quarters left. يبقى the answer is 1 whole circle and 3 over 4. And now I think it's very clear for you now. So I will give you time to solve problem number 4, and when we will get back, we will discuss it all together. And now after you have finished, I am sure أنا متأكدة إن أنتوا استخدمتوا المودلز to answer the problem just like the mathematicians think. The model in front of us represents 1 whole as you see. We are going to subtract it. We will going to subtract 2 over 5 from the 1 and then I subtract 1 over 5 from the rest. Okay, now we are going to mark off or cross 2 parts. مش أنا عايزة أعمل 1 minus 2 over 5 يبقى I will cross 2 parts out of 5. طيب وعايزة أعمل كمان minus 1 over 5 يبقى I will cross again 1 over 5 or 1 out of 5. So how many parts left? Yes, of course, 2 over 5 is left and this is my answer. And now let's move to problem number 5 on page 17. Here's problem number 5. مطلوب مننا في problem number 5 to model the problem and then solve it. We want to model 3 minus 1 over 3. As you see here, I want to make 3 minus 1 over 3. To be able to solve it عشان نعرف نحلها and explain your thoughts. Here, 3 is a whole number. يبقى احنا محتاجين 3 models. كل موديل فيهم I'll divide it into 3 equal parts. طب اشمعنى اخترت 3 parts؟ ليه ما اخترتش any number تاني؟ عشان here I have the denominator is 3. Okay? طيب now to be able to subtract 1/3 as well. Now we will for example draw 3 triangles. تعالوا نعمل model in the shape of triangles. يبقى هرسم كام triangle؟ I will draw 3 triangles. I will divide each triangle into 3 parts like this. يبقى this is the first one, second one, and the third one, and I divide each one into 3 equal parts. طيب دلوقتي أنا عايزة أعمل 3 minus 1 over 3. So I will cross 1 part out of the triangle. The remaining is what? يبقى أنا عندي دلوقتي 2 holes and 2 parts out of 3. يبقى the mixed number I have is 2 and 2 over 3. And of course we can use different shapes of models. على فكرة مش لازم نرسمه عن طريق triangles بس، ممكن نستخدم circles، ممكن نستخدم rectangles and any shape you want. The most important thing is that they must be all equal parts. And now let's move to problem number 6. Problem number 6 is very easy one that you can solve it on your own way. Let's move now to problem number 7 to check your understanding of how we solve problems. Here in problem number 7, we want to subtract 2 over 3 from 2. عايز أعمل 2 minus 2 over 3. We will draw 2 circles. ليه 2 circles؟ عشان أنا عندي 2 holes here. Each one I will divide it into 3 parts, right? Why 3 parts? Because the denominator here is 3. يبقى هرسم هنا 2 circles. Each one I will divide it into 3 parts like you see here. right? اوكي، يبقى 2 wholes minus 2 over 3. عايزة subtract 2 over 3 so I will cross 2 parts out of 3. يبقى هعمل cross ل 2 parts out of 3. يبقى remaining بتاعي ايه؟ remaining I have 1 whole and 1 part out of 3. And this is my mixed number which is 1 and 1 over 3. And after learning how to add and subtract fractions, do you think we can apply نقدر نطبق this skill easily in the daily life situations? Let's see how we can apply this. تعالوا بقى نشوف مع بعض ازاي هطبق ده في الconnect part on page 17 in your school book. Now we want to help our friend نادية. عايزين نساعد بقى الفريند بتاعتنا نادية who is preparing كانت بتحضر للبريكفاست بارتي. I'll give you now some time to read the problem and then let's try to solve it. When we get back, we will discuss the answer all together. And now after we have finished, you know from reading the problem لما قريتوا البروبلم دي فهمنا ان ايه؟ ان in order for Nadia to make falafel for the breakfast party, she needs half teaspoon. كانت محتاجة half teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate in her recipe for 10 people. يعني الهاف teaspoon دي هتكفي 10 people. بس نادية كانت عازمة 40 guests and not only 10. And she need to make enough food يكفي كل الجس الموجودين. So the question is السؤال هنا بيقول لي ايه؟ How many teaspoons of sodium bicarbonate will be enough for 40 people؟ هتحتاج قد ايه teaspoons عشان يكفي ال 40 جس بتوعها؟ طيب now احنا كلنا عارفين ان الهاف teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate هيكفي only 10 people وهي جاي لها 40 people. We will notice that the number of people has increased how many times? Yes, increase 4 times, right? هما 10 وبقوا 40 يبقى increases what? 4 times. يعني لو عملت 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 gives me 40. So I will double the amount of sodium bicarbonate 4 times. يعني هعمل half plus half plus half plus half 4 times as you see, right? طيب تعالوا كده نحسب الهاف plus half plus half plus half equals what? Half plus half gives me 1, another half plus half gives me 1. طب هي نادية كده محتاجة how many? Yes of course محتاجة 2 whole teaspoons عشان يكفي ال 40 guests الجايين لها على البريكفاست. And now let's check our understanding and develop our skills and practice part in your math textbook on the Egyptian Knowledge Bank. You can access it by scanning the code shown here or at the start of the lesson. And now let's solve problem number 3 in the practice part all together. And here in problem number 3, we know that Fatma is cooking dinner. Fatma كانت بتعمل dinner for her family. And she needs كانت محتاجة 1 whole bottle of oil for frying. طيب دلوقتي she has one bottle that has 1 over 5 full واحدة تانية فيها 3 over 5 يعني عندها بوتل فيها 1 over 5 وبوتل تانية 3 over 5. Okay? We asked to find out how much more oil Fatma need to have 1 full bottle. محتاجين نعرف هي محتاجة قد إيه عشان تملى أو يبقى عندها 1 full bottle. To find out the amount Fatma needs, أول حاجة هنعملها لازم add الاماونت اللي فاطمة عندها عشان أعرف هي محتاجة قد إيه to find the full bottle. طيب هي كان عندها 1 over 5 واحدة تانية فيها 3 over 5. So I will write 1 over 5 plus 3 over 5 عشان أعرف فاطمة معاها how many. 1 over 5 plus 3 over 5 احنا اتفقنا I will keep the denominator as it is. So the 5 will keep it as it is. And I will add only the numerator. So 1 plus 3 equals what? Equals 4. يبقى فاطمة دلوقتي معاها 4 over 5 or 4 fifths. طيب from what we have learned we know that one whole bottle represent one whole يعني الفراكشن بتاعها ايه؟ 5 over 5. اشمعنى اخترت 5 over 5؟ عشان الدينومينيتور بتاعي 5. هي دلوقتي محتاجة 1 whole يعني محتاجة يبقى معاها 5 over 5. So what should I do? I will find the difference between 5/5 and 4/5. يبقى هعمل 5/5 minus 4/5 اللي هي الفاطمة عندها عشان أعرف باقي قد إيه. So I will keep the denominator as it is and I will subtract only the numerator. 5 minus 4 gives me what? Gives me 1/5. Okay, يبقى فاطمة محتاجة 1/5 to reach the full bottle of oil. And now the rest of the problems are very similar to the ones in the build part and you can answer them and practice them. That being so, we have learned in our lesson تعلمنا النهاردة how to add and subtract fractions and whole numbers and how to use models. اتعلمنا ازاي نستخدم المودلز like mathematicians to simplify عشان نبسط البروبلم بتاعتنا ونسهل الانسرز بتاعنا. I hope you have enjoyed our lesson so much today. See you next lesson. Thank you so much.